going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Life of a Sim Racer. My name is Brandon. I am going to be your host tonight. We have our drivers of the number 4 Life of a Sim Racer Ford Mustang, Mr. Nick Silver. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Pretty good.
We have driver of the number 66 Life of a Sim Racer Chevy Camaro, Mr. Brandon 6. How are you tonight?
Doing good as always.
And we have special guest, the number 25 of Mar Racing Network, Brian Chambliss. How you doing today, buddy?
Doing pretty good. Good to be here.
All right. Glad everybody could be here. I want to first, before we even begin, give a big shout out to Nick Silver. He is getting married next week. So congratulations to you, sir.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Kind of asked for a better person to do it with.
Hey, that great answer, just in case she's listening. That's an amazing answer, sir. Alright, so we'll get right into it. This race was at the new Atlanta. For people who don't know, Atlanta got repaved and reconfigured. So now it runs basically like a super speedway. There's a lot of mixed feelings on whether they like it or not, and we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll get into it. But yeah, so we're gonna start with our highest finisher, Mr. Nick Silver, finishing P2, so close to getting that elusive win here at the first time we ran here. So it would have been kind of cool if you got it, but we'll definitely take a P2. So go ahead, break it down, how your week went, how your week started. Even though I kind of know something about this week that you might not want to talk about, but hey, it's good for the fans to listen to. And tell us how you got your P2.
Well, didn't really do a whole lot of practice because this track is kind of what it is, super speedway racing. I did ran a hosted race, before the official races started, got a feel for it there. Then I ran 2 fixed races during the week and got wrecked in both of them. So we learned all we could learn in those. And basically just went in this race knowing, it was going to be all about survival and, saving tires so you weren't pushing too much near the end of the run. And I was telling you guys off air, but, most of these super speedway races I go into kind of want to ride and not really want to get in on it, in on the action for fear of getting wrecked, but then I end up getting wrecked anyway at the end. So this time I still kind of rode around, but in the main pack, and then, the bug bit me and I just got into the race, and it was pretty intense from the get-go. Not a lot of let up, and just lucked out, missing all the wrecks around us, and started on the front row, I think, on the final green-white checker, had William Schmidt, our teammate behind me. And I just think I got a little too far ahead of him. Stayed in 4th gear maybe a little too long. He couldn't really catch up to me. Once we did get hooked up, Thomas George was out ahead a little bit with Daniel Eberhardt pushing him. And I was starting to get a run on the backstretch on the last lap, but Eberhardt was just barely clear of me and made the winning move, diving down from the top to the bottom lane just as I was, getting to that front row with a head of steam, gave him a pushed him out in front of Thomas. And then I was going to try to swoop out to the outside of him exiting turn 4, coming the line, but Thomas was still right there on me. I don't really know if I had any space, but I didn't want to jump up there, wreck myself or wreck Thomas for no reason. I don't think, even if there was space, that I would have been able to get him right before the line. But, we'll take second, no doubt. 3 second place races in a row for me, counting the Aero Racing League. So, could be worse for sure.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so, hey, look, P2, you've been on a roll, for the past couple of weeks. I think I said it before. You've steadily, are improving your results every race. And every time, sometimes you kind of get caught up in somebody else's mess, but, everybody does. But for the most part, you've I would, once the results come out. Unfortunately, the results haven't came out, so we don't know the results of the race. Well, I'm sorry. We do know the results of the race, but we don't know like the penalties and stuff like that. So we don't have the power rankings or the standings or anything like that. So we won't be able to really discuss that. We can talk about that in the next podcast, and we'll just backtrack and kind of give you guys a heads up on that. But yeah, man, I'm pretty confident that the power rankings are going to show that you're probably sitting P2 in the power rankings right now, which I would say it's pretty damn good. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Brandon 6 is probably still P1, even though he didn't have the best of finish. So, hey, keep it up, man. Keep doing what you're doing. And that win is coming, man. Trust me, it's coming. You're showing the speed. This is your year I'm gonna call it now. Multiple wins. You just need to get that first win, and you can get a couple wins on your UC belt, and see what you can do in the playoffs. Got a lot of confidence in you, buddy.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's frustrating finishing P2, a lot, but like I said, could be a lot worse. At least, speed's there, chances are there.
For sure. All right. So next up is gonna be Mr. Brian Chambliss finishing P14. I know you were caught up in a couple of incidents, but you still came home P14. So I mean, that's a top 15. So that's still a decent day for as many people that were literally destroyed. So tell us about your race. How did you practice or prep for it, and tell us how it went.
Well, unfortunately, I kind of took Nick's strategy and didn't really do too much practicing beforehand. I was really busy with work last week and didn't have a lot of time to do it. But after it came out, I hopped in a couple hosted sessions and tried to get a couple laps in, but those were pretty futile and not worth anything. Getting wrecked 2-3 laps into it, so I didn't ever get to figure out how to drive the thing. So I just kind of was like, just gonna drive like Daytona or Talladega, or just a little tighter. But but yeah, like you said, man, if there was a wreck in that race, it was either right in front of me, right beside me, right around me. Every time anything happened, it seemed like I was right in the middle of it, and lucky I was able to avoid some significant damage for probably one of the very few times this year in RSR to where I wasn't destroyed early and spent the rest of the race trying to catch back up or fix the car to where it was somewhere drivable again. And coming to the line there, I had a big run and was able to get 14th away from I can't remember who it was, but was able to sneak into 14th, which is kind of embarrassing to say is my best finish of the year. I finished 15th 3 other times, and then anything after that was just not good luck. It just seems like I can't get it together this year, and I can't get to going forward like I had used to in years past. I think the only person that's had worse luck than me is probably I think DeBarro has had some pretty bad luck.
Nick Cohen.
Cohen, yeah. Cohen. I
Chris Ray.
think he's the only person that's had worse luck than me, and I don't know that I'm all that much better on luck. At least he's had a top 10 of the year. I haven't yet to have cracked the top 10, which has been pretty disappointing for me, especially considering my history of finishing well here. But yeah, I mean, it was good to at least be avoiding the accidents this time instead of getting caught up in them. So, I mean, seems like the season is slowly starting to turn around here. Unfortunately, the rest of the season is not good for me historically with the tracks that are coming up are probably some of my least that I do the worst at, or basically every track coming up to the start of the playoffs. So gotta find something somewhere in there, but still looking for the standings. But really my goal is just to get in the top 25 in the standings. That way, because you never know what could happen that last race of the regular season, being a super speedway. It's one where you can steal one there. So
Yeah.
as long as you're in the top 25, you got a shot. So that's really my goal, is just get in the top 25 and just take things as they come, and not try to worry too much about trying to run a race where you hoping not to get wrecked. Just go out and just do what you can and finish where you can. Let things fall where they may.
Yeah, I will say this, and this is, and I say this to basically anybody who's struggling, and this is something that I had to just come to terms with. It's the fact that this is a brand new car. The season started off with a certain build or certain things that the car had, but they weren't realistic. So we just got a new updated build. So it changed the car completely again. So it's one of those things where I kind of don't even look, as a owner, I don't look at this season as, this is the season that I expect everybody on the team to be running top 15 and top 10. Top 15 is a goal for sure, but I don't expect everybody to come out the gate winning races, unless your name is Brandon 6 and you're winning four races and finishing freaking top 10 in 12 of the 14 races, I think, or something ridiculous like that. That really shows you that the car is really to his liking. But for the rest of us normal people, it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle for me. So I look. It's not something that it's really, like concerning or anything like that. I think one of those things, it's just one of those things where you just have to get comfortable with it. And once they stop, I guess updating the car or making drastic changes to the car, I think that's when a lot of us, not just with us as keeping it real, but just really with a lot of the drivers already in RSR, I feel like it will come more to them. Maybe we won't have freaking cautions right before every time it's time to pit. So, we can kind of play that strategy instead of having to stay out, because we know there's going to be a caution right before pit stop. So there's no point in pitting early. Sorry, just a low dig, but it kind of sucks. But yeah, overall, man, I would say you're still doing a hell of a job. It's a brand new car. You don't have a lot of time to practice, so you're just doing the best you can. And you're still doing. I don't know where you are in the standings, unfortunately, at this point. But I know that you're still beating a lot of people who have raced as long as you have. So don't hang your head down. Just keep digging, man. And like you said, the results are starting to slowly turn around. And even though the tracks coming up are not your specialty, you never know. Like you said, get in the top 25 in standings, win Daytona or win any race coming up, and shit, there you go. You're in the playoffs. Yeah. So, I think you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, it's coming around. I'm starting to get a little more used to it and starting to figure this thing out a little bit. But it's it's a process. It takes a little bit to learn this, and I take solace in knowing that you got other guys that historically you've always seen finishing ahead of you that are finishing around you or are struggling with the car now. So it's like it's still a learning curve. There's guys. Andrew, for one, he's got his win, but man, it seems like he's really struggling with this car, and we all know how good he is.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You got Andrew, and you got there's Eberhardt. Kevin King has struggled on some tracks. He's not as fast as I would expect him to be. I would say Agnell, as he's fast. But it seems like he's struggling on the long runs, So that's something else that you kind of have to figure out the car with. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge, and we'll get into this later about trying to manage stress and that type of stuff. But we'll get into that later because that's going to be a pretty good topic to talk about and to hear you guys' opinion on that. So thank you, Brian, for that, and Nick as well, for giving us your play-by-play, I guess, and how you got to your finishes. So next up is going to be Mr. Brandon Six, who I have to kind of laugh as I'm saying this because you said you really don't remember a lot about this race. So whatever you remember, just go ahead and give it to us.
I mean, I remember as soon as the update came out, I tested this track out and hosted sessions. I actually kind of liked it in those sessions a little bit. Like I said, it kind of reminded me of a track that it seemed like you were going to have to save if we actually had long runs. Wink, wink. I wish we did. And unfortunately, we really never got long enough runs in RSR to, I think, showcase what I could do with the car here. And when we did, everyone lost their shit. I know there was one point in the race with me, we actually were starting to get a pretty decent long run, and a lot of the guys on the bottom were stacking up, and then I kind of saved my stuff, and I took it up the middle 3 wide, and I think it was John Kalis who just drove straight up into me down the backstretch and destroyed quite a few of us in the process. So I think I ended up getting like a minute of damage after that, but the car was mostly fine for the most part. No engine damage or anything, so it still had pace. So I spent most of the race trying to get back to the front, but unfortunately we kept getting a bunch of short runs, which when everyone's got gripped up tires, it's just side-by-side racing and nowhere to go. And unfortunately, you can do 3 wide racing here, but nobody wanted to, I guess, take that risk or didn't feel comfortable with it, I guess. I know there was quite a few times towards the end of that race where I was like, I just want to go somewhere, and third lane is an option. It's just nobody would go with me or jump down in front of me to start going somewhere with it. But it is what it is. I know towards the end of that race, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I think Sam got turned or something happened that he got turned, and then I was middle 3 wide, and honestly I just didn't give a crap, and I stayed full throttle through it. destroyed the rest of us, I think, in the process. Either way, I was gonna be dead. But surprisingly, the car was actually not bad. The only issue was the right front toe link got broken. The good thing is it was like right at the end. I think they had a green white checker there at the end, so I just stayed out until it basically DQ'd me, which was right on the white flag lap. So I don't even remember where I finished, honestly. I want to say it was like 17th or 18th, I think. But all I know is I rage quit after that race. It was so frustrating. But and then we had our Thursday race with the Wheels of America. That was an interesting race at Michigan we had. It was actually a lot of fun with the different fuel strategies and most of the fuel strategies, just because the way they do it over there with 50% fuel or whatever it is for this specific track. But you actually had to do some fuel saving, and there were some moments where you actually had to drive pretty hard. So that was actually a lot of fun over there. I actually had a green flag pit stop, wink, wink. And so we actually got to do that, and yeah, it was just a lot of fun. I actually ended up winning that race, even though I shouldn't have. Unfortunately, Nick screwed himself.
I was gonna say, if he didn't bring it up, you shouldn't do it.
Hey,
what race was that? I don't remember running a race on FIFA.
I mean, like I said, I felt really bad. Like I was like, because you started slowing up, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? And then I realized you're out of fuel, and I'm like, no, man, like you can't catch a break. But
Well.
Because I told you, like, as soon as you passed me, I was like, I had nothing for you. Like, you were definitely way faster than me there at the end. So, I think I even said in the broadcast. I think I said in the broadcast too for that. Like, that was definitely your win for sure. So,
when I was passing you, it certainly crossed my mind. This is definitely too good to be true. So, and it was.
yeah.
Don't say that no more, okay? Don't say that ever again during the race.
Hey, but you learned a very, very valuable lesson in that race.
Don't trust your damn overlays.
Or just make sure you put a couple clicks more of fuel.
Yeah, you just add like an extra click or two. So
next time.
Yeah, I mean, that race actually was really well done, really well for the most part, as us as a team that ran over there. I still struggle in those type of tracks, obviously, because like I said, you were fast, Billy. Nick was fast. You two were definitely faster than me, but it's just something I struggle with on the bigger tracks, mile and a half or bigger. It's still something I need to really work on with this car. So we'll see. Hopefully, I figure it out before RSR playoffs start. So, but yeah, that was pretty much a week. At least I had one decent finish.
I hear you. Hey, look, man, at least you're out here trying. You know, you're trying to improve yourself. You know, maybe at RSR, maybe we don't feel like you need to really improve yourself. But you know, with your 4 wins, but you know, it's a perfection game, I guess, if you want to look at it like that. It's like, okay, well, how can I get better? Well, the way how I get better is I have to practice more. But you can't practice by yourself. You know, you either need to do, you know, the pickup races, which are the AFIX races or the NIS races, or, you know, go find a league that runs the same schedule as RSR. But, you know, every league doesn't run the same schedule, and that's, you know, like you said with Wheels in America, they didn't run Atlanta. You know, they were at Michigan. So, yeah, so, you know, you basically just take the information and, you know, make note of it. All right, so you didn't have the run, you know, you didn't have the best result at Atlanta, but now you can take that information that you learned from Michigan and try to apply it, and then you are already ahead of the game for when we do go into Michigan because you already have that notebook built. So.
Yeah, I learned what not to do when we come here for RSR.
Yes, yes, exactly, and it works that way too.
Yeah, like I said, when we first joined the Wheels America, I mean, it was just another experience to continue to learn this car, to continue to be better. It doesn't matter if it's like the same track we're going to in RSR or not. It's just you're still getting more time in this car, getting more comfortable. Like I said, there's a lot of tracks this season I feel like I should have won at for RSR, and obviously there were some that kind of worked out strategy-wise for me that I wasn't quite as fast, but I still had speed. I just didn't have the raw speed to go up there and actually win it. So it's just capitalizing on the tracks that I actually have speed and going up there and actually winning it with the speed. And because I think the only track that I truly did that for myself was Bristol Dirt. I mean, all the other ones were kind of like I had speed, but I kind of pulled it off with strategy. So, like I said, for me, it's continuing to improve myself. There's always ways to improve yourself at different tracks and continue to be better. So, that's my goal, is just to obviously keep getting better.
Yeah, I hear you. I think a lot of people can agree that, yeah, you know, whether you're in Wheels of America or you're in RSR, the goal is to improve yourself, get better, go out there and win races and try to win a championship. You know, that's the ultimate goal, basically, for every driver, no matter who you are. You might not, you know, agree on how to do it, but the ultimate goal is definitely that. So thank you for giving us your take on that. So I guess I will go into mine, which was, I think I started decent. For some reason I can't figure out the qualifying here. Yeah, I think I was top 10 qualifying, like 9th or 10th or something like that. But I'm usually pretty quick with the qualifying on super speedways, but lately I've kind of struggling with that, so I got to figure that part out. But before that, I really didn't do too many practice races. I think I did do 2 A-Fix races, and the first one I learned actually a lot the first run, and actually I tried to apply it for the RSR race, and it worked for a little while, and then of course the caution came out, and then that kind of screwed up my strategy that I had. But the second race that I did, I'm trying to remember what happened. I know that was a very late race, and somehow I was side drafting somebody, and he didn't stay on the wall, and he kind of made a move and clipped my left rear and kind of ended my day. So that was, I think I was only like 10 laps or 12 laps into the race, so I didn't learn very much from there. So it was just a matter of, let me take the information I learned from the first race and just apply it to RSR. So I went into the race not 100% confident, maybe about 75 to 80% confident that I could kind of keep it clean. I doing the pickup races actually did help, because it kind of helped me understand that everything in this race, the way how it's set up, the way how the passing is, everything is so fast paced. So there's blocks, there are just a lot of stuff going on during the race itself. And so I for the most part I stayed up in the top 15. Tried to go where everybody else wasn't, but I just couldn't get people out of the way. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I literally was screaming at everybody that was in my way, and I was saying basically I hate every single one of y'all, because y'all were just making me tight, and people just wouldn't get the hell out of the way. So there was a lot of screaming and a lot of yelling, and Nick and Six and Brian can probably remember it wasn't very good for me. I was kind of having a little bit of a meltdown. But there was a couple wrecks. I avoided those, and then I went into not really sure what happened, honestly. I believe it was Danson went underneath Sam going into one. I believe it was like less than 10 laps to go. And Danson definitely had a run. But when he did that, I guess the way how he entered the corner, he didn't have enough wheel into it, or it just got tight, and he clipped the 2 car, and there she blew. So pretty much took me out, took quite a bit of people out, maybe about 8 or 9 cars. I know Brian got clipped in that, and me and Six got destroyed from that. There were some other wrecks where they just about took out the whole team just about got taken out of this whole damn race several times. So the fact that we had Nick and William finish 2nd and 4th was pretty damn good. So the rest of us didn't fare too well, but their cars pretty much stayed clean without getting clipped or anything like that. So kudos to them. But yeah, as far as my race, I ended up finishing 18th, I think, when it was all said and done. I had a broken something was broke. I don't know what was broke. Something was broke. But I can definitely tell the wheel was wobbling all over the place. So basically just limped it home, and like I said, finished P18. So it wasn't the best race, but I'm not, I wasn't mad like I usually had been at races like this. I just take it and whatever. It's a super speedway. We all know that you got to have a little bit of luck on your side to finish in the front, and that's basically what happened for that. Thursday rolled around, and we ran the Wheels of America League, and I tell you what, I got the pole for that race, and I was pretty happy about that. Started P1 and won stage 1. So I was felt pretty confident. Felt like like we could possibly win this race. I talked about it on their broadcast. I finished third at the Las Vegas race, which was the race before the Michigan one. And they said, hey, like, could you win? I'm like, yeah, I feel like I could. And like I said, had the speed. Nick and Six, the three of us basically had the speed there. And then we went to stage 2. And it was going to be about fuel saving. I think we had to go 25 laps, Six and Nick, I think it was.
It was like 26 laps.
Yeah.
26, okay. So yeah, so it was going to be close on fuel because we only run half fuel, or half a fuel tank. So we knew it was going to be pretty damn close. So of course I'm leading, so I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to try to save as much as I can. And let's just say I made it to the line, and that was about it. I did not consider the extra lap to catch the pace car and to line up to basically do another lap to pit. So I basically ran out of fuel, was on pit road fumes. I had to pit when the pit road was so close. I actually did not win that stage. Actually, Six won that stage with some great strategy. When to go and when not to go. So again, another thing that I can work on, that I can learn is to learn how to do a little bit better on my fuel saving, especially under clutching and especially under race pace when there is no caution, in between that. It's just saving. So I went and pitted. So I think Nick was out of field too. So we're both pitting together. But because the pit road was closed, because we had to go to the end of the longest line, went to the end of the longest line. And I'm sorry, I did make a mistake. I tried to come back in and top off. I checked off my tires, and iRacing decided to give me 2 tires instead. So, and we were limited on tires, so I think I only had. Who is there wrecking up there? And so I was down a set of tires basically. So I was like, okay. I went out there, drove, and I think I was doing fairly good. Caution came out somewhere along that third stage, and I had no choice but to stay out. I stayed out, and I have to apologize to the 88 of Matthew Fleming, I believe is what his name is. I accidentally, I went high because at this point, like, I couldn't hold the bottom. Those guys were just flying with the fresh tires, and I guess I did. I got in the throttle too hard, and when I did that, it just started to go straight to the wall. So I lifted, and when I lifted, he did an evasive move and went to the left of me at the same time that there was a car underneath of him, and Six was underneath that car, which Six didn't know, and ended up pushing that car into the 88, which pushed the 88 into me, which broke my car. And because they have live penalties, basically they have an admin that basically gives the penalties right there and then, they blame that on the 88, which when I went back and looked at it, I didn't think that he deserved that. So apologize for him if he's listening or watching. That definitely wasn't on you. That was definitely on me. I pushed it too hard. Anyway, so I basically had that damage. So I'm like, okay, well, I still can't pit because that was only maybe 2 or 3 laps later. So I went and stayed out, and by staying out, of course, I fell all the way to the back. I had to run it pretty much dry, pitted, and then I came in and I sped on entry, and I pretty much just ruined the whole rest of my night. I think I finished P24, 25, a lap down. So not the best of week. But like I said, running here in Atlanta, thankfully I got to run as long as I did in RSR race, because I did learn quite a bit how the draft works here. It is different from your normal super speedway, so I'll take that information and apply that for the next time we run here. Unfortunately, I can't apply that to Daytona or Talladega because it's just not the same. And then, for Michigan, I'll take my understanding of what I need out of the car, and I'll definitely back it up a little bit on entry of pit road, and I definitely won't stay out on old tires because that just does not work. So a lot of learning within the 2 races, but honestly, I'm not mad that those situations happened. Maybe when they were happening, maybe I was a little irritated or a little upset, but I think I'm learning that every race that you do or every mistake you make is a learning opportunity. So I'll take the information and stuff that I learned and apply it for the next time, and hopefully capitalize from those mistakes so I don't end up making those mistakes again. So so that was my race, and like I said, it is what it is as far as how I finished. Both series, like I said, are still great. I like running in both of them. I like learning for both of them. Whether I have a good race or not, for me, it's all about the learning game at this point. So, all right, so that's pretty much it for that segment. So we're going to move on into our hot topic for tonight. We have 2 of them. So I'm gonna start with our guest, Brian. Now that you have ran the New Atlanta for the first time in a league, or I guess as an official race, I guess if you want to call it. Not really, but kind of is when you do a league race. What are your feelings on how the race went, the track itself? Should they demo it? Do you love it? How you feel about it?
I don't know. I don't really care for it, but I understand what NASCAR as a whole is trying to do, and I just don't think Atlanta was the place to try to do that. We only through the NASCAR season, there's only 4 super speedway races, and it's races, but there's only 2 tracks now. Add Atlanta to it, you get, depending on if they're going to stay Atlanta twice a year, you either have 5 or 6 races. But I know those are TV ratings wise, super speedways, everyone loves it, but it is, at least for me, I did not think it was that fun to drive. It's just extremely stressful because you're just so dependent on everyone else around you knowing what the hell they're supposed to be doing. And it's, you just kind of get in line, and it's just, you kind of stay there and you can't really go anywhere unless someone in front of you messes up and you fill a hole and put them 3 wide, and then hoping guys behind them don't try to draft with them. And then the new car side drafting is huge, and actually you see it right there, someone 4, someone 3 wide. But it's kind of what you are forced to do is in this new super speedway on these short tracks is to drive like an asshole. That's really the only thing I can think about it. But it's just stressful, especially if you're a guy that likes to get in some long runs and let the tires wear out, and that way you can start moving forward, and you don't have to be racing somebody so damn hard because you all are on the same tires. And it's just it's frustrating. But I get what they're trying to do. I personally don't like it, but I get it. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. It's it's kind of a mixed opinion, but watching on TV, I thought it was okay. Driving it in the sim, blow it up. Give me old Atlanta back.
I'm with you on that one. I'm with you. Nick, what's your feeling, sir?
As much as I hate super speedway racing on iRacing when I'm doing it, I was fine with it. Honestly, I would be fine either way with this or old Atlanta. You can make the argument that old Atlanta maybe takes more skill, but super speedway racing itself, does take a certain skill as well. There's guys that are just really good at it. But I definitely thought it was a more intense race from start to finish than probably the old Atlanta would have been. and hopefully it was exciting for everybody on YouTube. I, went through the broadcast a little bit, and it seemed like it was exciting. So I don't know. I mean, either way, we're stuck with it, so better to embrace it, I guess.
You definitely got a point there. It's all about the fans, what the fans want. I think you and Brian both said that, and that's, it is what it is. But Mr. Six, what are your thoughts on it, sir?
I hate it for short runs. And if we actually get green flag runs that go all the way to the end of the fuel, I like it. But unfortunately, like I said, we never had that in this race. A part of me thinks this track in the future, I guess the big question is going to be how long is that to get there. But I mean, we already see that this track kind of requires you to save tire if you do get a long run. I'm kind of curious to know, like, once this track actually ages and the track starts to get slick and becomes a little bit harder to drive, like, are we still going to be wide open for the first handful of laps in a pack? Like, I'm sure there's still going to be some kind of pack racing early on the tires, but, like, I like to think that, like, that looseness or that tightness that you get causing people to have to lift and start to actually drive the car, hopefully that becomes quicker, like I said, as this track ages. Instead of it being 20-25 laps into the run like it is now, maybe that becomes like 10 laps into the run eventually. So it happens faster. And if that's the case, I don't mind the track. Like I said, I don't mind the reconfiguration, but in the current state, like, I kind of hate it just because as a driver, I want something to do with it. And unfortunately, like Brian was saying, you're kind of relying on other people to know how to drive this track. And I was making the complaint, like, this track has the capability of running 3 wide easily, in my opinion. But at least in our RSR race, it seems like people were scared to do that. So, I mean, like I said, I tried a couple times, but it is what it is. If no one goes with you, no one goes with you. It's what it is. That's why I was kind of banking on long runs and actually requiring to drive the car at that point.
Yeah. I guess I agree with a little bit of everybody. I agree with Brian because I really don't care to like it right now. But I don't like it in its current state. So I will say that. Kind of piggyback off of what Six said. And it'll piggyback off of what Nick said. But we got it. So, it's just kind of like you might as well just live with it. 'Cause it's iRacing and this is what we got. So, I guess for me, it's definitely going to be on the, it's just going to have to be on the waiting game. I'm just, this, kind of like what Six said. If we could, and maybe that comes in time. If we're running that third lane, yeah, I would probably like it a little bit more. But for the most part, everybody was running 2 lanes. And there was some points where Six was definitely, trying to make it 3 lanes as I tried to follow him and he tried to push me a couple times. But it's just the door is just, people just shut the door like you're not even there. So, it's kind of hard to enjoy it because, going back to Brian, your faith is in other people's hands that actually know what they're doing, and this is kind of new for everybody, so nobody really knows what they're doing. It's kind of just like follow the leader. So it's hard for me to really like the track, like I said, at its current state. Unfortunately, with iRacing, there's not really a way to really be like, hey, in a couple years, it's gonna be harder to drive. Well, the only way that happens is if iRacing rescans it in another couple of years, which, they usually wait quite a bit longer, or unless there's a drastic change to the track, and then they'll go ahead and rescan it. But yeah, it almost feels like it's pretending to be something that it's not. It's pretending to be a super speedway, but it's not a super speedway. I guess in real life I don't mind watching it live, but it even live it just feels like they can't go anywhere. Like it's just, I don't know. It's gimmicky. I hate saying that word, but that's just kind of reminds me of right now. It just reminds me of it being a little gimmicky because it's trying to be something that it's not. No, everybody's not going to have the same opinion, and that's what's great about life, that everybody can have their own opinion. So that's just how I feel about it, and appreciate everybody giving your thoughts and their thoughts on that. I'm pretty sure that'll be a controversial thing to talk about. But hey, if you have your own comments, comment below in the comment section. Also make sure you like and subscribe as always, because hey, the more people that's actually watching and listening, the more YouTube will see it, the more people that this video can kind of spread, and maybe we can expand into helping other series, or talking about other things that are also important to iRacers and sim racers. So mainly just helps expand the channel. So appreciate all of you guys that do that. So the second topic for tonight is going to be a deep discussion one. So we're gonna talk about the mental health as a sim racer. And what I mean by that is there was a video that was, I wouldn't say was sent to me, I guess I found it or whatever, by YouTuber Austin Oganaski. I believe he's an iRacer as well. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go look up the video. It's called iRacing Members Are Turning Into WoW Addicts, which is World Warcraft Addicts. And he pretty much, I'm not going to break down the whole video, but he basically is talking about just how a lot of iRacers are basically racing and day in and day out and for hours at a time, and they don't have a life. They're not leaving the house, and they're going after this dream, which that Jesus Christ. Sorry. Look, I have a lot to say on that one. We'll talk about that when we get to our clips, but it's just like, God, it still irritates me that he did that. Like, why would you do that? Anyway, but yeah, in his video, he kind of breaks down and just talks about, how, it's concerning that, a lot of these people, and, it's been happening since, I came into iRacing as well. When you're young, you really don't have anything to do. Some young people have responsibilities, but the majority of young people don't have responsibilities, let's just be honest. So, when you don't have responsibilities, what are you going to do? You love to sim race? Okay, I'm going to come in the house from school, I'm going to go race for hours and hours and hours, and then get off and go eat and get back on another for hours and hours and hours. You're not going outside to get in, you're not going outside to go play with your friends, you're not going out to the club, you're not going out to parties and maybe spending time with your significant other. You're not doing all these things. You're putting all your time into iRacing, and when things don't go your way or don't go right, you're stressing out. You're mad, you're upset, and then now it's getting to the point to where it's starting to boil over into open races and the pickup races and stuff like that, and people being picked on about it, and this crazy stuff like that. And it's just like, I don't really think you can blame anybody, but I think there was a call, I think in the comments, or either for that video or another similar video, it was like, well, iRacing has to do something. I'm like, what the hell is iRacing gonna do? iRacing just provides something for us to do, something for us to play. It's not iRacing's responsibility if you want to stay at home and play iRacing for 24 hours. That's not their responsibility. That's you or your parents' responsibility. So, like I said, it's something that it's kind of hit home a little bit for me, because I feel like it does happen a lot, and I never really thought about it this deeply until I saw that video. So, and I'll start with our guest Brian, because I know, Brian, you have a little bit of background and helping people with mental health issues and talking to them about stuff like that. So, I guess what are your thoughts on knowing that, and I'm pretty sure you knew beforehand, but that it seems like it's getting worse. There are kids out here who are spending all this time on trying to perfect their racing and trying to make it to the Coke series or not, specifically not even talking about iRacing. If you're talking about any other esports league, you're trying to make it to the top. Well, news for everybody who don't know, everybody's not going to make it to the top. There's only certain people. So I guess what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's not iRacing's fault. I'll start there, but it's from when you first join iRacing, when you're going through those videos at the beginning that they want you to do and look at, one of the first things that you'll see or hear from people is to take it seriously. Drive like you're actually in the car. And part of that is just a sporting code deal, right? Because you don't want people out there like it's NASCAR heat, just slam to pass type thing, right? Because you're just wasting people's time. So at least with iRacing, you got stewards or some type of an accountability thing. So they want you to drive like you're actually there, and respectful of other people's time and money that they spend on the sim. Unfortunately, with that, you're gonna have people that take that to heart, and if you get into them, they're gonna blow up. Take it so far, granted, there's no injuries to them. They didn't waste any money other than maybe they bought a track that they didn't like, and then they go out there and they get wrecked, and then they don't like it and have a problem with it. But further than that, it's when you have that mindset, you need to take it seriously. And then also with this is, I want to say quickly, but it's not really quickly. I mean, iRacing's been around since 2008, but when the pandemic started, a bunch of eyes got on the sim because they were racing iRacing on NBC. That's in front of millions of people, and all of a sudden people start coming in here and they see that on there. They see that if they're in a hosted race, you got, oh, there's Dale Jr. over there. I'm racing against Dale Jr. Oh, I beat Dale Jr. Oh man, I'm doing better than him, and they think this is real. So then they start devoting more time to it. They see all the eyes on it. They want to be part of that. They see their favorite streamer is up there, and they just want to be all that, and they just get so consumed into it that they forget everything else that is actually real life around them, or they pay more attention to this virtual world than they do a real world, and that's not good. It's not good for your long-term mental health. If you're spending more time thinking about a virtual world, a virtual career, a virtual race than you are about, I got to do my homework or whatever it is in your life, your job, any of that, then that's not a good recipe. And I think that's kind of what that video was getting into. It's just it's about finding a balance, right? So I got in this for fun. I love racing. I've loved racing all my life. Played all kinds of racing games when I was younger. My career path took me away from it. I didn't have time to play a lot of the stuff, so I missed it. And then I happened to be on YouTube one day and seen a video, and I was like, what is that? And then I was immediately hooked on it, but hooked on it in a way where I just wanted to have fun, like I'm playing a video game, video simulation, whatever you want to call it. But there's got to be a balance, and you got to set time for real world and set time for virtual world, and you have to split those to understand that the iRacing is not your life, and you in that car is not real. And unfortunately, some people think it is, and they think they're going to get to that top level. They think they're going to be, the next Ray Alfala, multiple Peak or Coke champion, and they're going to make millions of dollars, and they're going to be able to stream, and it's just going to be their life, and it's going to be great and awesome. But reality is there's only 35 guys that get that shot per season, and 25 of them get to stay every year. So it's it's balancing expectations, really, and separation of virtual and balancing your life, whatever that is outside of that. And I think people need to remember that first, because this is just a game.
Okay, thank you.
Really
Appreciate that.
like that.
Appreciate that. Nick, you're up next, buddy.
Well, I think Brian pretty much, hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of people that you come across in these open races that it's really weird. It's either there's not really a happy medium. You got the guys that are the tryhards that are, ready to blow at any second, devote their entire life, to this game. And then you've got the guys that, I don't know, they're just out there, for shits and giggles, and, joking around over the voice chat and making stupid moves, that aren't necessary just because, they're really not taking it seriously. But like Brian said, there's only a few, number of people that are going to make it to the top, series in iRacing. I think he's correct that, when the pandemic hit and they were doing the professionals, professional invitational series on TV, that got a lot more eyes, a lot of people to join. And obviously not everyone, who joined during the pandemic, took it too far, but there was definitely, some people who probably thought that they could, make it a real life NASCAR as long as they were good in this. You do have to find a good balance between, this and real life, because when it all boils down to it, it's just a video game. I used to get really frustrated when a race wouldn't go my way, or if I was not doing well, in one of the leagues. And there came a point where I just, you really have to realize that honestly, anything that happens in here does not matter in real life. And, even, sometimes something frustrating will still happen where I do get frustrated and kind of pissed off at, what happened in the race. We'll go back to Thursday when, in the Aero League, running out of fuel, coming to the finish line, and I end up finishing second. I was pretty damn pissed off, after that happened. But, after like 20 minutes or so, you just got to tell yourself, look, it doesn't matter. Just move on. And, you just got to get over it. Lucky for me, I never really got addicted to iRacing. I started racing in 2010, and that was, the year I graduated from high school. So went off to college and was kind of busy with that and working a full-time job. So I didn't really have time to race other than, I was still doing like a once a week league racing. But, when I was younger and I was racing NASCAR 2003 and I was just in high school, in middle school, I had all the time in the world. So I was kind of addicted to it then, but thankfully around, at that point, there wasn't a top, official pro NASCAR series to, look towards. So it was really all just for fun. Even at that point, there was no high stakes, and, luckily you could just go out, have fun. Even though you'd be racing a lot, you didn't have to devote your whole life to it with this goal in mind. So, it's just a balance.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Six.
Yeah, just to touch on, I guess, what Brian and Nick said. I guess we even go from my standpoint. Like, started with NR 2003. Originally joined when it's just like you do it for fun, and trying to improve yourself just to be better as always. And then I think for me, like, it was the same thing. It was just you hop on iRacing. I joined in 2009, and back then I think they're probably was a pro series, but like it wasn't well known, and it wasn't really something to really truly shoot for, at least for me at that time, because I was still in high school. And just eventually, as I got older with it, like we had the Road to Pro series, started working on that, which I know you know, Billy, over doing that for 2, 3, 4 years or whatever it was, eventually took a toll on me, to the point where I actually stepped away from iRacing for 2 or 3 years. And I kind of kept coming back every now and then. And basically just do a couple races. If I liked it, I would do it, but I don't know, something just never fully got me peeked into it. And then I guess it wasn't until a couple years ago now, or a year and a half ago now, or whatever it was, you finally got me pulled back into it. And I guess I have a whole new mindset for it, and I guess this would go for anybody, honestly, but for me, I used to get pretty angry with us, honestly, especially in official races, because you'd have guys, and you still do, just do the dumbest moves, stuff that just would never work, or shouldn't work, but they just don't care because they're just throwing in there trying to be as fast as they possibly can, but driving the car way over their heads, honestly. And we see that a lot now, especially as more and more people are joining the sim, and kind of like what Brian and Nick said, we definitely see a lot more influx of people since I guess COVID, because of seeing it on live TV and all this stuff. So I feel like we've lost a lot of the respect that it used to be, and it's just because I think it was just a lot of people doing it for fun back in the day, because there was no, hey, try and go shoot for this top series of pro. Like, I mean, if you didn't have pro, I mean, sure, yes, we have an iRating system that kind of sorts us out based on your sort of skill, but in some ways not really. And we say that every now and then, like you'll see a guy who's like 6,000, but how did he get that iRating, basically? Because some guys do it by just running lower series that none of the fast guys really run, and they just build their iRating up to run in that top split race in the cup car or whatever it is, and they may not be as good in that cup car.
I think it's just a stress of not getting the finishes that you think you should and the time that you put into it, and then you don't get it, and then it just runs you down mentally.
Yeah, for sure. And like, well, that goes back to, like, for me, doing Road to Pro, it's like you put tons of hours into a setup, and for some kid basically who just maybe got handed a setup, be in your same split and just completely destroy your race. And I know I'm not the only one with that. We see that almost every year in Road to Pro with a lot of guys. They'll basically mention that on Twitter or whatever, like, oh, I got destroyed by some guy and who basically couldn't handle their shit, basically. So I think me stepping away from Road to Pro for the most part, at least from the setup building, has really helped me personally, but also getting away from the official races, not doing them as much, has helped. So, I mean, at this point, I've come to the conclusion I'm just going to stick to the league stuff, and because you race around the same people, there's kind of that respect level, and you're not racing for, I guess, that, like I said, that top series for the pros. That's when it starts to become very stressful. I mean, you're talking 40 guys in the top series out of the 120,000 people that are on the sim. So it's definitely pretty hard, and it can be very stressful. That's for sure.
Thank you guys for giving you guys' opinions on it. I guess I'll give mine fairly quickly. I mean, for the most part, I agree with all you guys. I think a lot of you guys, hit the nail on the head. It's at the end of the day, it is a game, simulated game. Just so I don't get the boos because I call it a video game. But ultimately, it is supposed to be fun. Now, originally, from what I understand, iRacing created this as a training tool for upcoming drivers who wanted to practice for up-and-coming races. So there's, it wasn't, I don't think in its early stages it was really thought as like, oh, this is going to be this huge simulated racing game, I guess. But I mean, like you guys said, the from the pandemic, starting, and then watching some of your favorite drivers and streamers in a race, and all I gotta do is pay, I don't remember how much it is monthly, but basically $100 a year, and I can race with those guys. Okay, I'll do it. Oh, and there's a pro series where you could go for $300,000. Sign me up. So it's, I don't know. Like I don't know what. I mean, like Brian said, there's nothing iRacing did wrong or anything like that. There's nothing really anybody did wrong. It's just one of those things that we have to keep in mind that at the end of the day, this is a simulator. At the end of the day, this should not affect your livelihood because it's just a simulator. It's just a game. Simulated game. However you want to say it. But yeah, I guess, like I said, didn't really want to say too much on that because I think you guys have definitely said enough. And I think you guys have definitely hit the nail on the head for a lot of that.
I'll say real quick too, I mean, it's not just iRacing either. I mean, we see this in other gaming titles or whatever, esports. Anywhere between freaking Madden esports or shooter games like COD, you see like an esports thing now, or like the battle royales, you see big esports, and you have all these kids that watch streamers and think they're going to be that, and that's going to be their job. But in reality, there's only a handful of selected people that are good enough to be that, and you kind of know early on if you can do that or not. You either are or you aren't, so you just got to know that.
But I also think that might be one of the problems, is that they don't know unless somebody comes out and says it. I hate, 'cause honestly, you never want to be that guy, especially if you're like friends with a person or something like that. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going for, I'm trying to make it into the Coke series, or I'm trying to be an esports, driver or esports player. No offense, but as a friend, you kind of gotta be like, nah, son, like that's, I don't see you. Not trying to downplay the situation or not trying to say that you couldn't do it. Like, yeah, you probably could do it, but I mean, eventually you got to do a self-evaluation on yourself and be like, can I really do this? Could I? I mean, if you want it bad enough, yes, you can, but at some point you still got to have some type of talent to do it. So I think it's, like I said, I don't really place blame on really, oh god, yeah, that's huge. That was one of the big ones. Actually, I think that's the one you got clipped, Brian, actually.
Yeah, right here.
Where half our team died.
Yep, half our team died. and the other part of it died in the next one. But yeah, like like I said, I don't place. There's nobody to place blame on it. There's been a lot of YouTubers and a lot of streamers who have, you know, committed suicide, and this is kind of one of the things that kind of scares me, that people get so stressed out and so, you know, down on themselves because they're not doing good and stuff like that, that it could possibly lead to that. So I guess ultimately, I'm just saying, I'm kind of just rambling and I'm sorry. I guess ultimately what I'm trying to say is, if you know somebody who seems like they're struggling, or somebody who you know, doesn't seem like they're, you know, maybe they're dealing with some stuff internally, either within our, you know, within gaming or outside of gaming, just reach out to them and check up on them, please. That's all I'm basically trying to say. Because, you know, life is not promised. You know, you could be talking to somebody one day and you can think everything's good, and the next thing you know, snap of the finger, they're gone. And why? It's because they were stressed out and going through so much stuff, and they had nobody to talk to, and they felt like their life wasn't important to stay around. So yeah, that's basically just all I wanted to say. And we're gonna get away from that, and we are going to move on to our Wreckfest clips. I still don't know if I like that name. I need an official name for it.
It felt like a wreck fest.
That big one definitely was the last one. So yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get into that, and let's check them out. And cause we got quite a few. I think it's even more than 5. So let's get into it. Alright, so we are back, and we have some interesting details that we have just acquired. Mr. Six, you had something you wanted to say.
Yeah, so obviously we were just discussing about mental health in the sim and how people tend to do a bunch of races and all that stuff. So for shits and giggles, I went back and looked at driver stats overall, and there's like 5 or 6 drivers that are above the 10,000 mark, which is pretty crazy for starts. But to put in perspective, there's one driver that has just over 3,059 starts in 1 year, and that was on oval. On road, he had 667 starts. On dirt oval, he had 653, and on dirt road, he had 590. That was all within 1 year, and I think Brian added it up for us to give us a rough estimate of what that is a day average.
Yeah, so that's astronomical, and I couldn't believe it. But when you add up all those races together for the year, that is 4,969 races. So 31 races short of 5,000 in a year. Divide that by the days in the year, that adds up to 13.6 races a day. So now, when you put in perspective, like, it takes about 45 minutes to an hour per race, you're up in the 15-hour per day range. Now, we're talking about the sim can consume you. If you're spending 15 hours a day for a year, Monday through Sunday, and starting over again on Monday and doing it all over again, averaging around 15 hours a day, with, you know, time between waiting to load up the session or practicing beforehand, that's 15 hours a day.
I just want to know, did this person like eat at all?
Wow. Or use the bathroom. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
It was probably in between the races. I would assume, but that is such an astronomical number that's scary. Honestly, that is very. That's not even scary. That's just concerning. That's very concerning. And I know you guys had looked through, some of the other people, and it's not just that particular person. There are other people who, might not be that high, but they are, running
Just as high.
just as high, and that is basically what the whole point of the topic that I came up with is because that type of stuff is scary, and if I know, or concerning, and if I know honestly, if for example one of you guys, if I know you guys are staying on here all day, all night, my first question is going to be, what is, what have you done lately outside of sim racing, or in this case outside of iRacing? Like, do you need me to come hang out with you? Like, do you need to talk to somebody? Because that's concerning that you're spending that much time on a simulator. A year, folks. That is over a year. And to put that in perspective of somebody like myself, I might have did maybe 100 races last year.
I mean, to put in that perspective, I was just saying, like, I think this person has 10,289 oval starts. That's just oval. To put it in perspective, me, who's been on the sim since 2009, only has, I think it was like 1,300 starts, almost 1,400, I believe. So not even like, just over a tenth of what he has.
Yeah.
And and unfortunately, this individual has been on the sim less time than me. He basically joined the service in 2013, give or take.
Yeah. And sorry, go ahead.
If you want to go in further than that, your typical work week, 8 hours a day for 5 days a week, that's 40 hours. Some of these people, that particular person, that's over 105 hours a week.
Yeah, so I mean, if you are, and I don't, and I guess if we think about it, so I know some people would possibly say, well, I work 8 hours a day, and then when I get home, I could do whatever I want. You are absolutely correct. You have the right to do whatever you want. The concerning part is that it's consuming you. You get off, if that's the case, and you are getting off of work, if you're doing just a regular 8 to 5, okay? So at what point do you get your sleep? Or maybe you're not working full time. Maybe you're only working maybe you're working part time at a job, okay? So you're only working, instead of 8 hours, you're working 4 hours, okay? So the other 15, you said 15 hours, I believe you said, Brian?
Yeah, roughly is about 15 hours a day.
Right. So the other 15 hours, you're sim racing? Like, that's a lot, and that's concerning. Now, I understand that some of it was during 2020, during the pandemic, and during 2021. Okay, I get that. We were all shut down. We couldn't leave the house. Okay, got it. I understand. But for a whole year? No. That's concerning. Like, I would hope that somebody would go check on that person and make sure that they're good, because that's just an obscene amount of races. But hey, I mean, everybody does, you can do whatever you want, but like I said, if you got a friend out there who seems like they might be struggling with some stuff, or it just seems like something's not right, check on that person, because it could be life or death for them. But
the most I've ever done is 338 in a year.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit more than that, but yeah, I've never in my right mind could I ever do that many races, because honestly, I get frustrated too fast. Back then, I was like, man, screw this, I'm not going to continue to run this. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I could see, like, if it was like some weeks you did, maybe it was a track that you really liked, so maybe you did like, 3 races a day or 4 races a day or something like that at a track that you really like, then that's understandable. But for the for a whole year you did that means you even did it at the track that you didn't care for, and that was just on ovals. That doesn't include the road tracks and the dirt oval and the dirt road. Like, that's just crazy.
We also didn't touch on, those were his official results. How many league races, hosted sessions, all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't even go there. That's just official
Yeah.
races.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is that's crazy. It's not funny. It's a little, like I said, it's very concerning. But I mean, we'll see how the community reacts. I know that there are some people that are trying to ask iRacing to put maybe some type of limitations into certain accounts, which I don't. Like I said, I don't know what iRacing can do on that. That's probably above their pay grade for them to be basically babysitting people. It's gonna probably be up to us as individuals to check on our friends and family members and stuff like that. So, all right, so we're gonna move on from that. And like I said, I just wanted to give you guys that I thought that was mind-boggling, and I figured that you guys need to hear it to get a bigger perspective on what we're actually talking about. But all right, so first clip, we are going to ride with Agnell Phillip because the wreck happens behind him. As you can see, Mr. Nick Marr qualified actually very good, so shout out to him for qualifying as good as he did. But unfortunately, I think, as you can see here, he never really gets up close to Agnell. And the green flag comes out because it's the start of the race, and we go off the green. Well, he didn't really go, and it kind of checked up the back of the field. And as you can see, it's a little melee going on in the background. So you'll see different people we ride along with, and yeah, it's not. It wasn't very good. Some people got quite a bit of damage. Not even lap 1. So it's kind of bad. But I'll start with our guest, Brian. What are your thoughts? I don't know if you saw this or know anything about it, but what were your thoughts on this so far?
I mean, this is the first time I've seen it from where it all kind of started happening, because if you're back there on me, I kind of did the same thing Chris did. I'm just going along, everyone's going, and all of a sudden the guy in front of me just stops. You can't see around him, you can't see anything, and I sent somebody through the grass on the start. But I mean, if you're, if you got the pace to qualify up there, you gotta be ready. And that's just, it's nothing against Nick or actually, sorry, I missed if it was Nick or Matt. But
yeah, it was Nick. Yeah, you were right.
Yeah, I mean, if you're up there, you got to be ready to go, especially super speedway racing. If you're not in right gear or whatever it is, you got to be ready to go. So, I mean, I just don't know. I don't know what was going on there, but it doesn't make sense. You just got to be start of the race. Everyone goes on green, so everyone has the same opportunity to hit the gas pedal at the same time. Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Mr. Silver.
Well, this is the first time I'm seeing a replay of it. But when it happened, I was third in line on the outside and behind Shane Ewing. And I just remember, green came out, and then all of a sudden Shane had to check up, which caused the accordion effect. I checked up, everybody checked up, and then you see the result here. But yeah, you can see from that view looking back from Agnell that Nick just didn't go. You can kind of see me and Shane both get a jump, and then Shane has to check up a little bit because Nick's not going, and then it's just on from there.
It's 6.
Honestly, it looks like Nick just started in second gear, which is honestly where we start in most tracks is in second gear. But this was actually one of the few tracks that you actually need to start in first gear.
I started in second gear.
I mean, not saying you can't. I mean, not saying you can't, but the ideal, yeah. But I don't remember exactly where you started, but I know further in the back. Like when I was back in the pack earlier or later in the race, I was just starting in second because you get these according effects where it's like, well, it's kind of pointless to start in first gear. But if you were in the first 2 to 3 rows, I mean, you kind of almost had to start in first gear to get going initially. So,
I mean, you could start in second, but it's one of those things like if you start in second and are asleep, it just magnifies everything for everyone behind you.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it kind of all started with Nick, but I mean, obviously, not everyone gets a chance to practice these kind of things, and unfortunately, it's just something I knew, and I think a handful of us knew from other races, either races we've done or from test sessions of our doing. But yeah, it just comes down to the starting in second gear and maybe not fully being ready for it, I guess. But I mean, I don't know what else you do from that, from a driver standpoint. So
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think yeah, it sucks for Nick. Okay, he had such a good qualifying effort. And no, he didn't get, he didn't get any damage from it or anything like that. But, deep down, I know Nick. He's a good guy. I mean, he, wouldn't do anything malicious or intentional or anything like that. It's just one of those things where, in the back of your mind, at the same time, you kind of got to think like, well, damn, I just caused a big one lap one. we didn't even, it wasn't even turn one yet. And I think half the people who got damaged hadn't even crossed the start finish line yet. So it's it was a sucky situation, honestly. But it's one of those things. It happens. Hopefully, like I always say, hopefully you learn from it, and hopefully you won't do that again. Because some people definitely, I think Jeremy Miller had to quit. I don't even think he got to. Maybe he did do a couple laps. I can't remember. I just remember looking up top, and it just showed that he had disconnected. So I don't know how many laps he actually did, but he was one of the casualties caught up in that. So that's gotta suck. All right. So we are going to move on to the next clip. All right. So let's take a look at it. Alright, so again, we are back for another clip. This one we're going to ride along Mr. Kevin King. And sadly, some very interesting, I don't know what you want to call it, magic happened. Where he's actually going through the corner, and as you can see, the car just kicks hard right, hits the wall, takes a couple people with him. Folks, that is called netcode. Okay, that's what that's called. I know a lot of people don't want to say, "Hey, it's netcode." That was netcode. That was a bad version of netcode. I don't think I've ever seen anything that bad. Kevin King wasn't blinking. The 70 wasn't blinking. So I don't know if somebody's connection just took a shit or what happened, but that is like I said, that was the worst netcode I've ever seen, especially on iRacing. So I don't know. I don't got anything else nice to say about it. It was I mean, I wasn't caught up in it, but damn, did it suck just to see something crazy like that happen. But Mr. Brian, what do you think, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna disagree with you. I think it's just a severe lack of car control by Mr. King there. He's just driving along, nobody's near him, and he just loses it. I mean, I don't know. He's supposed to be pretty good, and just to do that. No, I'm joking, but yeah, that's some. Man, I've seen some bad netcode. I've seen something that's like a car length apart, car length and a half. This is next level netcode. So yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Wonder if it has to do with that Union Jack on the top of Harry's car.
What? Union Jack? Okay.
Well, his connection all the way from old England there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we got Harry's from the UK. Okay, that's fine. We got well, I guess they did cause two of them, huh? Well, Danson didn't cause a ghost one though. He actually did hit Sam. I was gonna say Well, they both caused cautions, but technically for two different situations they were different. Anyway, okay, so I think Nick, you had already said your piece on it.
I'm mostly joking. I
Oh.
mean, you'd have to imagine that might have something to do with it though. But he wasn't blinking or anything, so I doubt it. iRacing's netcode just really sucks a lot of the time. I've died many times from it, and it's incredibly frustrating. And I think it's one of the top 3 things that they need to be working on every build.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't even know much about the internal workings of netcode or how that. I mean, I know how it works, but like, how do you fix that? I don't have a clue.
What it looks like to me, and you know, if you race NASCAR 2003, you remember this. It used to be, you know, in an online race, if you got like just too close to the guy to the outside of you, it just turned him, and so you couldn't like really door bang or race side by side, and that's what it actually looks like. It's really weird. It's like roll back in time.
Yeah, I mean, I remember netcode in our 2003. I still don't remember it being that bad. But again, I was just getting started. But 6, what you got?
Yeah, obviously, it's a very bad netcode. I mean, I've been on Sim since 2009, and I don't know if I've ever seen a big enough gap between two cars for netcode just to straight up turn somebody. But the one interesting thing I found in one of the clips, I think it's this one, when Kevin gets turned by the netcode and he gets hit by the 86 behind him, there's also a big gap between him getting hit by the 86 because the 86 never actually touches him.
Yeah, I saw that.
So like, it's almost like it put like a big giant box around Kevin, almost. Like, Kevin was the actual issue, almost. I don't know, but it is kind of ironic. You had Harry and then I think Danson literally back to back there with the 2 furthest connections, really. One from the UK and one from Australia. So
yeah. I was actually going to joke and say, where was MJ?
Yeah, just needed MJ up there with his out in the forest.
Right, right. I was gonna be like, wait, was MJ in the middle and we didn't see it? And he kind of blinked out. You know, I love you, MJ, but I had to do it, son. I had to do it.
Yeah. So I mean, it is a very interesting thing. It's very weird. I mean, I will give iRacing some credit. I mean, I actually think side-by-side racing has been a lot more forgiving this build ever since they added like a different hitbox. I think with the way the side-by-side works, because I know like in some of our practice sessions, you and I, Billy, like we're like door banging and like it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is just some weird thing that happened with like internet connections at that exact moment, or if there's something else going on there. But yeah, that was probably one of the wildest things I've ever seen. Because even because I was in the back of the time, just chilling, waiting for something like this to happen, or a big wreck or something. And when I saw Kevin like 1 minute driving straight, and then like literally next frame like is dead sideways in the middle of the track, I'm like, wait, what the hell just happened?
If I remember correctly, I literally said, "Oh shit, really?" Because I was like, I didn't know. Like, when you see that from the end car, you're just like, "What the?" Cause I'm, it's like, oh shit, like, wait, did somebody hit him or tag him or something like that? Cause that looked like, it looks brutal. Like, it's like instant, the snap of a finger, like he's around. And the only time you would ever see that if like somebody literally went from the bottom to the top and took him out, but there's nobody there.
I was running 20th and saw that from up there. I was like, oh my god, that's horrible netcode from back in 20th.
Yeah.
It almost like his car almost looks like he blew out a left rear and the thing just instantly snapped.
It does remind you of that. Yes. I would think that it wouldn't snap it that hard, but it could. Nowadays you never know. It could. Another situation where Andrew gets caught up in somebody else's stuff and can't he can't catch a break. it would be nice to see Andrew catch a break. I know he has a win, but damn, man. You gotta. Eventually, your luck could turn around. A lot of us are struggling. So, the veterans seem to be struggling. It seems like the newbies are doing a great job. Kevin and
the fast guys can keep trying to find the speed, because I'm okay with being up top.
Yeah, I bet you are. That's okay. We'll find it. We'll find it. But all right, folks. So we are going to move on to the next clip, and let's take a look at that one. All right. So we are back again. I believe this is lap 76. I literally just said it. So we are gonna ride along with Shane. As you can see, he's on the high side here. And 70 kind of pushes him up a little bit. Shane gets a little loose. And then the 82 and the 32 got together. 32 turns to 82. And the 82, for some dumbass reason, decided to see how many other people he can take out. I don't get it. Like, I don't. I understand you might be mad. You might be frustrated. But what the hell is the point of not holding your brakes? I feel like we talk about this every other episode. Let's see if I can take somebody else out with me. That's the mentality that you show. Minazzi Major, I know you're a hell of a lot better than that. Did you maybe you made a mistake and forgot to hold the brakes? If you did, I'm honestly gonna call you BS on that. But I mean, maybe you did. But yeah, that right there, to take out the 48 like that, that's BS. Straight BS. So, that's just how I feel. So, yeah, it was strong, but hey, look, I'm calling it like I call it. Call it like I see it. Sorry, that's the proper way to say it. But Brian, what's your feelings on it, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I think the initial contact, I think that's kind of just close racing.
Mm-hmm.
Something that just kind of happens. But, I mean, Lord, after, watching it again here, I just, I mean, it's from Minazzi's point of view, yeah, I'm upset that I'm now involved in this, but, man, oh man, that's iRacing 101. If you're wrecked, hold the brakes, hit the brakes, hold them, give, your race may be over or you may be damaged, but let's not take everyone else with us.
And the thing is, his race wasn't even over. You had, if you had anything, you might have had you might have to fix the wheel, maybe, but now you got a hell of a lot more damage now. That doesn't make sense. Like, sorry, it's frustrating as hell. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's where it comes to, that's I hate to harp on a guy, but that's the iRacing 101. If you're wrecked and you're backwards, the brake is your best hope.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're holding the brake and you still get hit, and someone runs over you, then that's ARCA braking. Someone else not doing their job. But if you're doing your job, once you get wrecked, then you're doing all you can, and you're doing your part to limit, the chaos or the stupidity. But now you come down in front of Jaron, you take Jaron out, then your car's messed up, and you're sliding into somewhere else unpredictably, and then someone else could hit you. It's just, no, I can't say anything else than hold the fucking brake when you get wrecked.
Yep, I agree 100%. Mr. Silver?
Yeah, well, I was right in the middle of that. I remember, them getting together, Harry and Shane, and I thought Shane was maybe going to come off the wall, so I checked up a little bit there. Got ran into by Minazzi. But yeah, it looks like he would have been perfectly fine if he held it against the wall. It's not even so much the brakes. you know, it seems like even in real life, holding the brakes on these cars, they don't really like to lock up, and they do kind of roll. But you can see it here from his in-car camera. Once he gets turned around, he's still holding the wheel turned to the right, so he's letting it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, roll on down the track. All you got to do is hold the damn wheel to the left. So even if you're not able to hold your brake for whatever reason, you know, or it's not slowing down as fast as you would think, at least you're riding the wall.
Yeah.
Instead of coming down and, you know, destroying everybody. And honestly, if I was Jaren, I'd be freaking livid. And I mean, he almost killed our teammate Sean. You can kind of see him go through there as well. Almost killed Nick Mara. And it takes me back to, you know, one of our earlier podcasts where we were talking about should there be a penalty for, you know, stupid shit like that. And I think this is a perfect example. You know, maybe we need to look at that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. 6.
Yeah, I was actually gonna, I think, say the same thing as kind of Nick. Even if he doesn't hold the brake, yeah, literally all he has to do is hold the wheel to the left, and he just rides the wall. Like that's literally a 2-car wreck. That's it. He basically would have still been running and would have been fine. Probably would have had a minute of damage, if that. And honestly, these cars with even body damage is usually still pretty fine. As long as you don't have engine damage, you're fine. But here, he rolled himself back down the track and got a broken toe link, which is an 8-minute plus fix, and that basically ends your race. So.
And I think he had 2 of them. So.
No, yeah. So yeah, that's even worse. So.
16 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it doubles, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I kind of have to give Shane a little crap too, because it's like, why are you trying to yank it off the wall? We all know, for the most part, when you yank it off the wall like that, you tend to yank it way further than you want to, especially when there's 2 lanes of traffic. So, yeah, I'd say if he just holds on the wall there's never even a wreck for that to happen. But definitely have to.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'd say definitely Manazzi gets the worst end of the stick, because, like I said, that's pretty bad, and I agree. For stuff like that definitely needs to be penalized to prevent that stuff from happening in the future.
Yeah,
because there's really no excuse for it.
I will say that I'm actually gonna go back and protect Shane. I will say that getting stuck to the wall is a B, because there is that wall glue, and I believe what he was trying to do is, because if you watch his wheel movements, he doesn't make a lot of a sharp turn to get off. It's kind of like just waiting for it to kind of come off, and sometimes it's a little hard to judge how far off the wall it will come. You know, could he have stayed up there? Yeah, but yeah, so like I said, it's one of those, like, you get stuck to the wall and you're just trying to get off the wall. So, you know, you for me, my problem is I tend to yank the shit out of the wheel to try to get off the wall. But it looked like for here, I mean, if you see it here, like, he's not making that much of adjustment, but when it does come off the wall, it for some reason it always seems like it turns a little bit harder. So, I agree with everything else he said, but I kind of disagree with that. But again, you know, overall, I think the big thing was Benazzi, and you know, it sucks for him that happened to him, and it does suck. But what you did afterward is no excuse for it. So I ain't gonna talk about this shit no more, because every time I see that shit, that shit just annoys the hell out of me. So we're gonna move on to the next clip, and let's take a look. All right, we got another clip up. And we are going to be riding with the 43 of Sean Kalis. And I'll break it down as usual. He's riding along on the bottom. Again, I'm at his top right. I'm irritated, so I make an aggressive move, go to the bottom. I don't really know if that's what spooked him, but he moved up, tag 6, tag to 19, and calamity. Just if you got spooked off of me, I apologize, but I don't really think you did. Maybe you just didn't really know that he had made a move there. Again, I don't know. But I will say that took out quite a bit of people as well, which kind of sucked. So, Brian, your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I was right behind this a little bit, I think, because I remembered arriving through this one because I seem to be in the middle of all of them. But
Yep, I see you in the mirror from the top right.
oh yeah, there it is. Got by that one. I just don't. I don't know if he was reacting to you diving down low. I just don't know. This one's hard to. I don't know. I mean, looking from behind, looks like he just comes up, and I don't know if it was a reaction to seeing you dive to the bottom or what. I just don't know. I don't really have anything other to say than that. I just don't know what happened there. I mean, it's tight racing. You're 3 wide going in there. It's tight here. You don't have a lot of room to have a mistake without collecting somebody, and I think that's just kind of what that was. I don't know if he thought you were loose and we're going to head to the inside wall and hit it and come back up. But it looks like he moves as soon as he sees you head down. So
yeah,
I don't know.
If that's the case, like I said, I apologize. But I mean, I didn't do anything wrong. But I wouldn't expect anybody to react off of that. Like I said, I was just irritated because I was stuck up high for the majority of the damn race. I just wanted to get to the bottom, and was trying to hope that. Because I felt like Sam was coming as well, so I made that move to kind of not help him follow me, to kind of get away from me, because I'm just like, I just want some space. But again, I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking or what his thought process was. So I just know it's another sucky situation. But Nick, what's your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to imagine maybe he was just watching you, and at the moment that he was watching you, 6 goes to the middle, and so he maybe wasn't paying attention to that, thought maybe that 6 wasn't there, and, the call, car high was the 19 car. I don't know, but it just looks like he wasn't paying attention and didn't realize he was 3 wide and just kind of drifted on up, and, it was on from there.
And 6.
Do I really have to give my opinion? Because it's not going to be very nice.
You got to, sir. I'm sorry. Actually, no, I'm sorry. You don't have to give your opinion. If you don't want to, that's fine.
That's Bowie's fault.
I'm pretty
about to blame me. That's fine.
It's all Bowie's fault.
Hey, I said I'm sorry. Okay. Damn it.
No. I don't know. I can tell you in the moment, I was super fucking livid. And I kind of still am, because it's like, let's be honest, he was literally holding me up for multiple laps. I was actually trying to get underneath him, I think for a couple laps straight, and he kind of knew that was happening, so he was trying to defend the bottom really well. And I finally got a good run on him, so I'm like, well, screw it. There's an opening in the middle, and I took it. And then, like I said, the next moment I know he's just turning up into me, and I try to get away from him, but there's just not enough room for that. So, I don't even know what to say about it. I was, like I said, I'm pissed. Hell with it.
Understood, sir. Understood. We'll move on from that then. So that was pretty much that big crash. As you can see, William, our teammate, is scathing through it. So shout out to him. All right. Gonna move on to the next one. All right. We are back with another clip. We are going to ride with our special guest, Mr. Brian Chambliss, and as you can see, he's riding along and minding his own business, and a old SHIT happens. Like I said, maybe I didn't say it here. Our teammates just about got took out in every single wreck. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, so basically, Caleb tries to, or Caleb? Is it Caleb? No, Cobb. Sorry. tries to squeeze in between him and the leader, and just did do a very good job of it. And yeah, got squeezed into the wall, and another big wreck happened. So, Brian, spot on or spot off? I'm joking. Don't do that. What's your thoughts on it?
I mean, this is actually, I'm watching it for the first time as seeing where it started from. I know it happened afterwards with me, but I don't know. And again, you know, it goes back to one of the first things I said about how this track races, that you're kind of dependent on those folks around you knowing what they're doing. And I know guys have runs and they got to take them, and then guys think they need to defend them and are sometimes late. You know, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast here. Just from what I see with that is someone trying to, you know, either defend and someone trying to take over, and then we get half the field wrecked because of it. It's kind of the nature of what this track and what this track needs, or, you know, not needs. I don't want to say needs. We need to wad up Tony Stewart. We need to run him backwards for a couple laps, and if there's more than 5 cars that finished the race, we did it wrong, type of thing. But you know, this is kind of what this thing is at Atlanta. Is, you know, it's tight super speedway racing, and one guy makes a mistake, late block or late move, and then 30 cars are wrecked. That's kind of what. Yeah, I don't know. It's a guy going for a hole that's not really there, touches the wall and collects everybody. Yeah, seeing it again, that's more of what it looks like. Guy going for a hole because he got a run and touches the wall, and now the field's wrecked.
Yep.
It's just frustrating. This is kind of how my season has gone, except for I would normally be one of those other guys that got turned around backwards. But this one I managed to get through.
Yes.
Sort of. Sort of.
Well, it could have been worse. That's how I look at it. It could have been worse.
Yeah, it's just when you go to apron on here, it just, your car kind of goes straight.
Yeah.
For a second, and that's kind of what happened. And unfortunately, I hit Riley there, and it kind of pushed him up into the mess. But sorry for him, but I mean, I'm just trying to do the same thing as him, is get down to the apron and get away from the craziness up ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. Mr. Silver?
It was a stupid point on the track to try that 3-wide move to the outside. You know, it was just unnecessary. And wadded up a lot of cars. You know, unfortunately for MJ, but fortunate for me, he was to the outside, and he sacrificed his life, you know, so that I could continue on. Because if he wasn't there, I probably would have been hooked just like Chris and he were.
Yeah.
I remember looking in my mirror. I mean, I knew MJ was dead, but I remember looking in my mirror and like, all right, Chris made it through, and then last freaking second, he's head on into the wall, which was pretty sad. But yeah, I don't know. From my recollection, the 11 was making a couple questionable moves during the race, and you know, that one finally bit him, and unfortunately took a lot of people with him.
Yep. Mr. Six?
Dumb move. It could have been done better. My choice to him would have been to take his run and put it in the middle instead of the outside. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Well, I mean, I kind of said my piece, so I don't really have anything else additional to add on to it.
If you're gonna make an aggressive move, don't hit the wall when you do it.
Yeah. Or if you do hit the wall, then stay on the wall.
Don't run out of talent.
Him basically coming back off the wall is what started all that. And like I said, we're not perfect. Look, so don't come for us and saying, oh, you're not perfect. Oh, we know we're not perfect. Okay, we know that.
Speak for yourself. I've never made a mistake in my life.
You are lucky
Hey.
it's your bachelor party, so I'm not going to say anything negative. I'm just gonna roll with it. Okay.
I've never done anything stupid, like going below the yellow line and at a super speedway coming up and wiping out a bunch of people. Never.
Okay. I will take your word on it until after your bachelor party. Then I won't believe a word you said. Okay. All right. Well, that's that one. So, again, I said we had a couple of them. So, we're going to move on to the next one. All right. So, we are on the final clip. This is pretty bad one. So, we're going to ride along with Mr. Danson here. Mr. Aussie. So, he's making a pass on Sam. He did go below the line. Might add. But it was already too late because he clipped Sam and everybody dies. So, it goes for a nice little tumble. That is the second time this week that I've seen somebody go tumbling. And of course, unfortunately, Brian got turned in that one, but he still came back and had a pretty good finish. So, as you can see, you'll see the different views of it. And it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But all right, Mr. Chambliss, what you got for me?
Yeah, that's I don't know. I mean, he did a good job of trying to avoid somebody that got slowed up in the trial over there, and I think he went below the yellow line to avoid wrecking somebody. So I'll sort of give a break there, but then heading in a corner, he drifts up and looks like he clips Sam there, and that started this whole thing. I know initially it's a reaction to what you see going on up in front of you, but yeah, I hate to be I don't know. Being in the car, it looks a little different, but it's another case of this is what this track is now. Unfortunately, it's tighter super speedway racing with no room for error.
Yeah.
So if he holds his line there, he still wrecks him. And then into the corner, it's still inevitably there was going to be a wreck there. I don't know that there was much someone else could have done there, but it's just that's this track. Unfortunately, it's a wreck fest.
Agreed. Mr. Silver, what you got for me?
Well, first, initially, looks like Danson gets forced below the line. He's got to run. He's pretty much there, and then Sam was bouncing off the car above him and kind of came down towards him. But then it looks like, Matt just needed to let off a little bit more. Entering the corner, it just, I'm sure he was pretty close to flat-footing it. And, that angle, I don't know how old the tires were, but that angle, a few laps into a run, you're going to push up like he did, and it was just a little bit. And just enough to get into Sam and cause the big one. So, probably just needed to let off a tiny bit more entering the quarter.
Yeah. Okay. And Mr. Six.
All I know is I was praying to the racing gods that I got lucky and just glitched through Sam. Because I just stayed in it and said, screw it. Because I was over this race, honestly, at this point. I just didn't care. So, but yeah, I didn't even really know what actually happened to cause that. Obviously, the first time seeing it. Definitely Danson, which I think he definitely owned up to it. He apologized a couple times. I think in chat and in Discord to the whole situation. So, just tight racing. It's typical super speedway racing, unfortunately. Not much you can do about it, so
yeah,
it is what it is.
Okay, well, that was pretty much cut and dry. So, what we're going to do is we are gonna move on to the next one, which is pretty much the ending of it, and we're gonna talk about next week. So, let's get into it. All right, so we got next track that's coming up is New Hampshire, and it's not a bad track. Did a little bit of testing myself in 6, and feel like the setup is definitely more our flavor of the week. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. I feel like could definitely be a pretty strong finish. A hell of a lot better than this race was. But Mr. Chambliss, how do you feel about New Hampshire?
Well, like I said earlier in the broadcast, these races coming up are not my cup of tea. Outside of probably Michigan or Daytona, is at least what's left. But if the setup's a little looser, like it sounds like it is. I mean, at least give an opportunity for tires to mean something. Which I kind of feel like tires mean something in this car, but it seems like compared to the last one, they kind of mean a little less. This one is more draft dependent, where you put your car and how you can side draft somebody coming off the corner. It's more. There's more going on with it other than just save your tires and then you'll go forward. This one seems a little. There's more. It's more nuanced with tires and air and draft and all that other stuff. It's crazy to talk about draft at New Hampshire, but I'm sure it's going to play a factor there, at least the side drafting part of it. But we'll see. I'm just, it's a shorter track, so you got to keep your stuff clean, and exit's going to be important. So hopefully I can manage that, and we'll be able to keep somewhat this slight tiniest momentum going, finishing a little better. So it's really what I'm looking for, is just something better than 14th, and something to keep me going in the right direction where I can get in the top 25, and then you never know what's going to happen after that. Wind could come. You never know. You gotta be meet your minimum requirements to get there, though.
For sure, definitely. Mr. Silver?
I don't know. I haven't done any practice yet. New Hampshire's probably in my bottom 3 favorite tracks. Not really a fan of it. Pretty boring. Pretty boring to watch. Pretty boring to drive at.
Jesus.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just went back and looked at the results from last year. I think they were finished 19th or something. So I don't know what the heck happened there. But I don't know. Other than last year, I think I usually do pretty well there. So, hopefully we'll continue that streak. But anything can happen. We'll see.
Okay. And Mr. 6.
I'm actually looking forward to New Hampshire. It's probably one of my better tracks. I tend to excel at short tracks, and mostly short tracks, I guess, in this car. It seems like anything that was heavy braking. And the one race I've done, seems like I have a really good pace, both short run and long run. So definitely looking good. But obviously with the RSR having random weather, I mean, it's ultimately going to come down to what kind of weather we have and how it makes the car handle, honestly. I know in, I guess, AFIX and NIS, the car's a little free center out, which is in my wheelhouse. You have to kind of save the right rear a little bit. But if it ends up being like a cooler track or whatever, I mean, maybe we don't have to worry about that as much. So for me, I'm kind of hoping for a kind of hot, slick track, something hard to drive, and I think I'll be there at the end.
Okay. Well, it'll be another challenge, I think, for a lot of us to try and get a top 15. Again, the setup is definitely on the freer side at the beginning of the run, and then it seems to kind of or does it free up more in the long run?
It gets free up more.
Okay, so it starts off a little on the free side, and it gets even more free. So, will definitely be interesting. I would hope that we don't have a boatload of cautions, but I mean, let's be honest, it's a short track. More than likely, it's going to be a lot of cautions. So, but yeah, so that is pretty much it for this week podcast. As we are pacing again at I'm about to say Talladega, Jesus, at Atlanta. So, I want to definitely thank our sponsors as usual: Digital-Motorsports, Elwood Designs, Battle Beaver, and Boosted. I want to thank Mr. Brian Chambliss for coming on. And before you go, do you have anybody you want to thank, say hi to, shout out to, anything like that?
No, I just want to thank you guys for doing this, and thank the league. We kind of beat up on these guys in some of these reviews, but that we're part of this too, and we we're not adverse to being the cause of some of these things, and it's all to try to make the league better. And these guys overall, it's a great league to be a part of, and I love running with all these guys. It's just we make mistakes, and if we make mistakes, we need to own them.
Yep.
But other than that, just thank you for putting this on, and thank my family for letting me do this on Monday nights and losing a little bit of time with me. But outside of that, I'm good to go.
Cool. And Silver, anybody you want to thank before we head out?
Just the usual suspects: Elwood Designs, Race Lab Apps, and this channel, Life of a Sim Racer. Gonna be getting married and going on a honeymoon, so I won't be on here for the next couple weeks. Gonna miss you guys for sure, but I'm sure we'll have a lot of stuff to talk about when I do come back.
And Mr. Six, any want to thank, sir?
Same ones as always. Elwood Design, the team keeping it real, and obviously this channel, Life of a Sim Racer. It's fun to do these every week, and I'm in the same boat as Nick, actually. I won't be here as well next week, so you're on your own, buddy.
Yay, by myself yet again. Oh no, that's okay. I will find somebody. Somebody will come on this channel with me, and we will talk about something. We'll talk about New Hampshire. I don't know who that's going to be. So, if anybody's listening and wants to be on the podcast, hit me up. Let me know. If I don't hear anything by a certain date, I'm gonna start going chasing down people with a machete. I'm joking. Anyway, we might have a special guest. Might have a returning guest. I don't know. We'll see. Whatever it is, we're gonna have a little fun with it. So, other than that, gotta thank you guys for listening. Thank the fans. Thanks everybody for subscribing. I think we're up to 48 subscribers, so that's awesome. Would love to get to 100, but it's that'll be a milestone for us. But it's gonna take some time, and that's understandable. So right now, I guess the simple milestone would be 50. So almost there. Just need 2 more subscribers, and we are there. Been thinking about possibly doing like a little giveaway at 50. Maybe like a iRacing gift card or something. This is where calamity is about to happen if you're watching in the background, because it happens again. I get to watch myself get destroyed again. That's a different view as well. So, but yeah, so might have a little giveaway. I don't know how we're gonna do it yet, but might post something on Twitter, and then, might give us like a gift card, or I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but we're definitely gonna do something. But again, thanks everybody for listening. Please be safe. Like we talked about before, if you know somebody that needs help, please reach out. Try to help them as much as you can. Whether that's mental health or just somebody that just seems lonely. Like I said, reach out a hand and help that person out. But other than that, that's it. Like I said, I will see you guys next week. And I don't know who will be on, but we'll find out together. And you guys take it easy. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.